Hey guys, welcome to the crash course. This is where I'm going to start from zero to beyond. So definitely, hi Papa, definitely follow along. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to start from zero. All right, let's do it. So this is a crash course on 3D modeling, introducing Blender to you guys. If you don't know me, let me introduce myself. I am SpaceGlitterUnicorn. So the agenda for tonight, we're going to go over the skills matrix. And then we're going to talk about our experience in Blender. Then we're going to navigate the Blender interface, getting familiar with it. Then we're going to start extruding from just a simple little square. And then after we've done all that, we're going to finalize what we're creating. And then we're going to import this item together into Horizon Worlds. Alrighty, so in the skills matrix alignment, we are touching base on the art. Yes, it's being recorded. The design and creation of static meshes for use as world environments or items, props, wearables, characters, including meshes and textures. Okay, so here is my question to you guys. What is your experience with Blender? So if you haven't touched it yet, if you're an absolute beginner, that's okay. I'm here to help you start on your journey. Not only me, but this entire community is very happy to help. A lot of times we do have people in the water cooler, willing to help out if you are stuck on anything. I've made a few things. Great. Let's practice and take things a step further. So, like I said, this is going to be a crash course. This is starting at zero, starting in the absolute beginning. You're a Blender wizard. Well, if you think you're intermediate, you just might be. This course might feel a bit repetitive for you, but I'm glad you're here. Feel free to help in the chat and offer guidance and share your experience. Because, and we're all in this together, building this wonderful metaverse. Alrighty. So for the beginners, let's look at the interface. So what we're going to be looking at is the 3D viewport. That is the main space where you're going to make all that magic happen, right here in the center. Here is where you'll do most of your modeling work. Think of it as your canvas. Toolbars and panels. There's a lot of them, and it can be overwhelming, but let's make it a lot less scary. On the left, you'll have your tools, and on the right, you'll have your various panels where you can tweak properties, modifiers, and more. Outliner and properties panel. The outliner helps you keep track of everything in your scene, while the properties panel is where you can adjust your settings for your objects. I am using, I have the version down here because 4.2.3. I think that is the latest and greatest. Alrighty, so knowing the workspace is very important. Knowing the Blender workspace is essential because it boosts efficiency, reduces confusion, and helps you navigate tools and features quickly, making 3D modeling faster and more intuitive. So we were talking about the main 3D viewport, which is right here. So I am using my middle mouse button to orbit. And then if I press Shift middle mouse button, I can pan. And zooming in and out, I use my middle mouse button to zoom in and out. That's for those who have not used Blender yet. I know this is repetitive for those who are well seasoned, but I'd like to include everybody. Okie dokie. Now, let's just get rid of everything. I press A for all and then X to delete. So what I'm going to do with this blank canvas, I'm going to do a Shift A and I'm going to create a cube. Now, there's endless possibilities with this one cube, right? Right now, I'm in what's called object mode. In order to get out of object mode so I can do some tweaks to this one square, I'm going to press Tab. Here we are. Over here on the upper left-hand side, you're going to see that this changed its mode. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get familiar with a very important part of this. And I mean, it's all important, but to me, this is really important to know. So you have your vertice select mode, your edge select mode, and you have your face select mode. I'd like to go over to face select mode, and I'm going to select this one face. Now, if I were to press the G button, which is grab, I can now manipulate this one face. And as you can see, it's skewing and stretching everything along with it. Now, if I were to go to edge select mode, I can select basically these edges, this line, right? I'm going to press G to grab, and I can start manipulating from that one side. How many of you are following along and playing with the cube right now? Please, thumbs up so I know that you're following along. All right, good. I'm glad. Good stuff. Okay. So now that we went through the edge select mode, we're going to look at vertice select mode. Now, vert select mode, you can see now that we have these dots at the edges of these edges. And you can also manipulate these. Selecting, pressing G, and you can do lots of really funky things. That's not pretty, but it can be something, right? All right, so I am going to start from 0. I'm just Control Z. Alrighty, now what I'd like for us to learn are hotkeys. Basic hotkeys, simple hotkeys. So I'm going to go back to, it's a mountain. Yes, it's a mountain. It could be a mountain. I'm going to go back to face select mode. Hotkey time, simple hotkeys. We want to make it fun. So what I'm going to do, I have the face select mode. I'm going to just select this face. Now what I'd like to teach you guys is E, which means extrude. As you can see, now I've extruded that one face. However, what makes it different from just pressing G, if I press G, I can also go up and down. What's different is I added geometry to this, which means now you can see these extra edge loops. And that's important for geometry support, which you will get later on. So now I'm going to go ahead and start extruding whatever. Keep it simple, dude. We're using the selectors on the top. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just extrude. So if you're brand new here, start extruding. Start extruding however you want this cube to be. Don't do anything extra, just extrude. So here we are. I'm extruding from faces. And if you do something interesting, feel free to drop a snapshot in the chat and show me what you made. I want to see magic. I'm going to keep going. Show me what you have made. Look at that. I don't know. It looks like a building or something. How many of our intermediate folks just took a cube and started extruding in the beginning? Sound off in the chat. Yeah, you made a hole. Most likely because you did this. All right, you pressed extrude and you went in. And now you've extruded inside. So now you have extra geometry going in. Alrighty. And we can fix that by either you could just grab it out or you could just delete it. You could do so many things, and it depends on what you're making. All right, Tony 2 times. You made us something. All right, cool. Very proud of you guys. So now we're going to learn the next tool, which is Inset. So here we go. You're going to press I, and you make an inset. It's really neat. I like inset. You could do so many cool things with it. After inset, I'm going to press E to extrude, and I can just keep going. Inset. I went too far, as you can see. And then I can extrude. Another cool feature is when I click these guys and I press I to inset. As you can see, there's a menu that pops up on the bottom left-hand side. So I'm going to click on it and inspect it. I'd like to click on individual. And as you can see, now I have individual faces insetting themselves. And I can do my tweaks. This is cool for when you want to make windows to like a building or something structural, or hard surface modeling for sci-fi items. I'm going to do E for extrude, and I can extrude that in. And as you can see, that could be kind of like a sci-fi panel. Alrighty. Now we're going to do the next thing. We're going to go to edge select mode, which is on the upper right hand side. We're going to select these edges. See, I want to just select all these edges. There's a reason for it. A design reason for it. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Control B, and I'm going to just slightly pull out with my mouse. I know the geometry looks weird, but we're just messing around with geo right now. And as you can see now, I've beveled the edges, which is, it comes in handy in your modeling process. And you definitely have to be careful with it. For example, let's say if I came here and I pressed E to extrude, but I accidentally clicked out of it. You might still have that extrusion in there. It's just hidden. So now if I were to press G, you can see that geo is still there. It's easy to mess up your model by accidentally pressing those buttons without actually following through with the action, because then you'll have extra geometry hidden within itself, and it will make the UV editing process a little difficult. And then you have to go and figure out what went wrong, what is the extra geometry that I see in my UVs, and how to fix it. Which later on you will know how to fix it, because these mistakes do happen, and they happen easily. Alrighty. So now that we have What was the letter before E and I? G, grab. Yes, my bad. I'm sorry. Yes, G is for grab. That's correct. Yes. It's definitely, so like for example, if I were to go very close, I still won't see that extra geo. If I were to turn on vert mode though, and I knew that possibly there's a problem area here, I sometimes just select the vertice, press grab, and look, I see that there's extra geo hidden within there. Now there is a fix for that. A very popular fix would be if I were to press A for all, M for merge, and merge by distance. Now that can help. However, sometimes that will mess you up too. So I would be careful. I would definitely be careful how you utilize these things. It's everybody. It's kind of like a seasoned taste situation. You'll get your own flow once you get this going and you learn the interface. So don't worry too much about that stuff. Just create. That's all I have to say. Just don't be afraid to make your items. So I don't know what I made here, but I made a something. Okay, so now let's go back into starting from fresh. So I'm going to go ahead, tab to edit mode, and I'm going to, I'm going to first, usually when I model, I like to see the lines, kind of like the edges. So what we can do is this drop down on the viewport shading. If you go down to cavity, type, you should do both. And now if you're in edit, if you're in object mode, you can see all the edges. It's really good. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to Shift A, and I am going to create another cube. Alrighty. Now that we have our wonderful shiny new cube, what do you think I should make with this one cube? What is the possibilities? Please sound off in the chat. What do you want me to make with this one simple cube? An airplane. It's funny you should say that. I do have something prepared. A magnifying glass. Okay. A fireplace. A house. Can make a house. A hamster. I'd love to make a hamster, actually. I love hamsters. All right. The house sounds pretty simple. So let's do the house. Dragons will come later. I would love to do dragons, but I got to catch you guys up first. Alrighty. A windmill would be cool, and we can do that. All right. So let's see. Let's start with a house, though, because that one was super simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tab into edit mode with my fresh new cube. And I'm going to go, actually, I'm going to kind of like select off into space. And I'm going to introduce you guys to our edge loop tool. So if you do Control R, you can see I've created a new line across the whole geometry, across the whole square. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click. Whoops, it was left click. Sorry, my bad. I'm going to left click. And as you can see, now I can manipulate this one edge loop. So I'm going to go ahead and left click again. And now we have an edge loop. And check this out. I'm going to go ahead and do edge select mode, and I'm going to select this one edge up top here. Then I'm going to press G, Z. And the reason why I'm pressing Z is because I want this line to stay only on the Z axis. So if I were to go down, it would stay there. If I were to go up, it will stay there. But if I were to try to slide my mouse left and right, nothing will happen because it's now constrained to the Z axis. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring that up, and look at that. I have a cute little housey. All right, cool. What else should I put on this house? What am I missing? Definitely the roof and windows. I'm going to start with the roof. And I'm going to do something something a little different. I'm going to go ahead and press the hotkey P. And this is a little confusing. P is what separates our items. Excuse me. Okay. So there are 3 selections for this hotkey P. We can separate by selection. We can separate by material, or we can separate by loose parts. Loose parts meaning that I have this one object that has like a sphere, a tube, and a square, and they're all grouped together. But let's say I don't want them together. I want to separate them. So I press P, and I would say by loose parts. But this time, I want to separate the selection. So I'm going to go ahead and click on selection. As you can see now, excuse me. As you can see now, I have the roof highlighted in this red line. What I want to do is I want to tab back to object mode, and I want to select that object. Tab again and go back into edit mode. So now I can work my magic on that one item.
Let's see.
Okay, so having my face select mode on, I'm going to select those 2 faces. And then what I'd like to do, instead of, excuse me, instead of just E, I'm going to select Alt E. I like Alt E. And Alt E will give me extrude faces along normals. That means I'm extruding along those normals in the correct orientation. Instead of kind of like going this way, I'm not extruding anything weird. I'm extruding in the direction of those normals. So now I'm going to go evenly out. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'm going to pull out just a smidge. Now, sometimes there is a bit of skewing, especially on how the geometry is laid. So I can fix that. As you can see, the bottom part is a little thicker than the top. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'd like to do offset even. Offset even allows me to make sure that this is all extruded evenly. All right, cool. Now that I have that done, I'm going to press A. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to give this roof a little bit of a lip. So I'm going to do S to scale. But this time I want to scale it in a way that works. So I'm going to use the Y key. And Y makes sure that I am scaling along that axis. So here I am. I created a lip for my little house. All right, cool. One more thing, because I'm a little bit of OCD, I'd like to also extrude those out. So I'm going to do Alt E, extrude faces along normals, and I'm going to gently pull my mouse up. Alrighty. So now I have a nice little roof for my house. All right, cool. So there is this tutorial going that I have spread around, and for doors specifically and for windows, it's using the Boolean key, the Boolean modifier. The problem with the Boolean modifier is this, and I do like it, but that's because I know how to fix the geometry once it's done. And do you guys want me to show you the Boolean and what it does? Thumbs up if you do. Alrighty. So here we go. I could use the bool tool, but I'm not using modifiers. Modifiers come later. We're doing this all vanilla. Actually, I'd like to select this entire item. No. Excuse me. I'm going to bring this up because that grid was bothering me. All right, cool. Now, let's scale out the door. So I'm going to go ahead and Shift A. I'm going to create a cube. I'm going to scale this cube down and bring it forward. G, Y. G, Z. Alrighty. And I'm going to scale it by the Z axis. And I'm going to scale this again by the Y axis. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Alrighty. So here, I want this door to be here. I want it to be cut out of this geometry. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my geometry for the wall. And I'm going to go over to the modifiers, add modifier, and I'm going to look for a Boolean. Now that I've created a modifier for this geometry, I'm going to tell the modifier, hey, which object do I want to use to cut out? So I'm going to use the eyedropper, select the cube, and there you have it. I had made a cut. You can't see it yet because I have to do something with it. So now, what I'm going to do is actually, I can just make it go away. And as you can see, now I've created kind of a doorway to go into the house. There's more I can do with this. So for example, I can apply this modifier. I can take this and go into edit mode. And so the reason why I'm a little iffy about using the Boolean is because of this. And this is definitely something good to learn in the beginning. This geometry right here, it can be easily fixed, but if you don't know what you're looking for, then later on you're gonna encounter a problem importing into Horizon. And that's called Ngons. Ngons are not your friend. It's any polygon that has more than 4 sides. 3 sides are fine. 4 sides are good. But anything more than that, as you can see, if I turn on vert select mode, and if I look at how many edges this one polygon has, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 edges, right? So the best thing to do about this is fix the geometry. So if I were to press the K hotkey, I could then add geometry wherever I see fit, wherever I need it. But let's not worry about that now. We can move on and we can do the windows, and then I could go back later and we're going to fix this geometry. So we can create a window. Let's create a window doing the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and press Shift A to the window. I really like Zuck's rendition though. All right, I'm gonna scale down. I'm gonna press G and I'm gonna go along. I'm not gonna finish the line. All right, so I'm gonna press X because I want to bring this cube to. Alrighty, and now I'm gonna go ahead and GZ, bring that window up, and I want to scale it. I want to make it a nice big window. Go ahead and scale it by X to make it a little smaller. G, X. All right, cool. Now here's my window. Alrighty. So, how many, I want to know, before I go any further, are there still people, following along, or are you just watching me? I want to know. I need to know. Is anybody following along? Yes. Okay. Oh, fantastic. All right, I'm glad. I definitely want to see everybody practice and perfect your craft because we're in it to win it. It will be available, yes. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add that modifier. Yeah, we're just, honestly, if you just got here, turn on Blender and take out a cube and start extruding. Make something. Make a something. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and add that modifier. The Boolean modifier. And then I'm going to take my eyedropper. And I'm going to bring that down. So now, if I were to turn off that cube, you can see that now I have a little window. All right, cool. I want to apply the modifier because let's do something with this window. And here we go. I have this geometry selected. I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode. As you can see, there's geometry that needs to be fixed, but we can go over that later. Let's just go straight into making this window. So I'm going to do face select mode. I want to work with this one square, this face. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do P. And I'm going to separate by selection. All right, cool. Press tab, select the square, and press tab again. Now you're going to find yourself, especially in Blender, you're going to press tab. You're going to go back and forth in and out of edit mode a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this face and I'd like to do a little bit of an inset. So I'm going to press I to inset. All right, cool. Afterwards, I'd like to do Control R. And I'd like to give it two edge loops by scrolling my middle mouse button a little bit. Now, another way you can get that, and I think Mac users that the scroll button doesn't work that way, but you can also do the same by selecting this menu on the bottom left, and you can control how many numbers of cuts you're using. So if I move this over, I can change the number of cuts. But right now, I want only 2 cuts. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I want to put 2 more edge loops going horizontally. So I'm going to do Control R and making sure that my mouse is going to the middle of these edge loops, it ensures that that's where my edge loop's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll up, and then left mouse button, right mouse button. And there you go. Now I have do you have tabs? Do you have the geometry far enough into the wall there? And did you do the eyedropper? So, okay. So the modifier is the Boolean modifier. So tabs, if you select the wall, add the modifier, and then use the eyedropper to select. No, you select the cube with the eyedropper. It's a little confusing. All right, so let me do that again so I can show you. I can do it on this side. I'm gonna go ahead, and actually I think I could use the same cube. Use this same cube. All right, so G, X. So here I am. I have my wall, and I have the object to select for the Boolean. So I'm going to select my wall, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that modifier, which is the Boolean modifier. And then in this properties panel, I'm going to find the eyedropper, and I'm going to select the item I want to use as a cookie cutter. It's basically a cookie cutter. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now, it doesn't seem like anything. That's because this cube is in the way. You can't see what's going on. What you can do is just find it in the viewport and shut it off. And there you have it. You have your Boolean cutout right there. You got it. Good. I'm glad. Perfect. All right. Fantastic. You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to go tab back into this window here. And there's something I want to do with these edge loops, which is it's my favorite hotkey. That would be Shift Alt and then select. It selects the entire edge loop. As long there is no breakage in the geometry, you will be able to select an entire edge loop with no problem. So I'm going to do Shift Alt again, Shift Alt, and select that loop, Shift Alt. So let's see what happens if I only press Shift. As you can see, I have to manually select all these guys. And sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes you want to select an entire group of edges, and Shift Alt is your friend. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Control B, and I'm going to bevel this line, creating those separations in the windows. And there you go. I'm going to take that down. All right, cool. I'm going to select off into space, inspect what I have here, and I think I like it. So now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to face select mode, select all these faces, inset, extrude inward. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It's late for me. All right, so I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to bring that in. So now, yes, leave it for the glass texture. So you could do a few things. It used to be that Horizon Worlds only took one material per item at a time. But now we have the magic of being able to attach multiple materials to one item, which makes me super happy. That means that if I have a glass texture separate from everything made out of a mesa texture, and then I have my metals, and then I have my brick texture, I can attach it all to one item, and we're good to go. It makes life so much easier. Trust me, I was down that road where I had to separate by materials, and it was an absolute nightmare. So I'm happy we are here. Now we're waiting for normal maps. I need normal maps. But anyways, sorry, I'm just getting over being sick. I was sick for like 2 weeks. Whew. Okay. So now I have a window. All right, are you guys sick of this house yet, or do you want me to go further? Do you want me to go further with this one house? Because I did have something prepared. Or do you want homework? That's my question. All right, the door. Let's get to the door. Alrighty. So basically, you see I'm trying to select onto this geometry, and nothing is happening. Why is that? It's because I'm in edit mode for the wrong item. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press tab, and now that fixes it. Trust me, I've been there where I'm like, why I can't select anything? This thing is broken. My computer froze. But no, just make sure that you have the proper mode on. Okay. So now, I'm going to go ahead and press tab because I had the main wall selected. I'm going to go ahead and select that door. And then what I'll do is I'll press P because I want that separated. And I'm going to do by selection. Press tab, select the door, and tab again. All right, cool. Now we have a door. Do you just want a door, or do you want like a door with a door jamb? There's a difference because then there's a lot extra steps. I'll just do like a little bit of a door jamb. All right, I'm just talking to myself at this point. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and press. I'm gonna press I. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a shum there. All right, cool. And then I'm going to extrude, excuse me, E to extrude in. All right, now we're getting fancy. P, loose parts. I mean, I didn't really have to do that, but let's say theoretically you were in Horizon Worlds and you wanted this door to be scripted to be opened. Whoops. P, selection. Now I can just take this door, extrude it. And so if I were to do something where, let's say for anybody who is a TypeScripter, if I wanted this door to open a certain way, I can actually change the pivot. I selected with the cursor, which sometimes like we can accidentally move this cursor by accident by pressing shift right key, and whoop, this cursor ended up where I didn't want it. That cursor is actually a really good tool, but for now we're going to learn how to set a pivot. So I'm going to do shift right click, and then what I'll do, I'm in object mode, so I'm going to go ahead and object, set origin to 3D cursor. Now, as you can see, we have a solid orange dot. Pivot! Anyways, so yes, I have that solid orange dot. So what I'm going to do with it is I could do this. I'm going to press R, and I can rotate by the Z axis, because if I just press R, funky things will happen. But I want to press R and Z, and now, and you have to do the sound effect. The door opens. Look at that. And now if you're a TypeScripter, you can actually set those pivots in Horizon. You can import with the pivot and you can do your magic, your wizardry, if you will, with that pivot set. So it's cool. It's really cool. It's cool to know, good to have. Okay, so now we have a door with the door jamb. Very interesting. Yes. So let's talk about this 3D cursor. Let's say I want to how did I move the pivot point? I'll show you. So I'm going to go ahead and create a fresh cube. I'm going to do Shift A, Mesh, Cube. And I'm going to isolate that by pressing / on my keyboard. And now you see that there is the 3D cursor in the center. And there's the yellow dot. I mean, the orange dot. If I move this, you see that orange dot follows. That's because that's where the pivot is residing. So if I were to press rotate, as you can see, our geometry is rotating on that pivot. And I can change axis or whatever. But what if that's something we don't want? Sorry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shift and I'm going to select this corner. Right. If I were to press rotate, nothing happens because I didn't tell Blender what to do with that pivot point. So what I'm going to do, still in object mode, I'm going to go over to object, set origin to 3D cursor. And now as you can see, that dot moved. If I press R to rotate, now I'm rotating along that pivot point that I just set. I can rotate by Z. I can rotate by Y. I can rotate by X. Really important to know, especially if you're like a snapping master. Pivot points are a good thing to know. And also these selectors here, which is this snapping tool up top, and then you also have proportional editing, which I'll get to later on. So yeah. All right. Good. Did everybody find that useful? The knowledge of pivot points? Thumbs up in the chat. I want to know if you're still awake. Just making sure I'm not boring you to death. All right, cool. Very cool. Okay, let's bring back that house. I'm going to delete. All right, fantastic. Now what we're going to do is I made a window. We're going to move on from that window and make a fireplace. So, I'd like for the fireplace to stick out here. So I'm going to go ahead and shift, right mouse button, and then I'm going to go ahead and do Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Scaling that cube down. Now I have a little chimney going on. Really neat. Now, press tab. Excuse me. All right, pressing tab. Now I'm going to do my face select mode. Then I will go ahead, press G and then Z, bring that up. I used to have it. I used to have that, and I have to fix my PC. It's shut down on me a few times, so I have lost a lot of those items, but I will have it for the next one, I promise. My apologies. I know I should have those up. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this bottom face and I'm going to bring this down. Because eventually I'm going to want to build out this little chimney underneath too. So I'm going to press G, Z, and bring that down. All right, cool. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to select this top face. Press E to extrude. I'd like to select these faces here. And I'm going to do Alt-E, extrude faces along normals so that it comes out nice and even. Then what I'd like to do is I'd like to inset this a little bit. And then extrude this. And then pressing Z. Whoops. Bring that down. Now I have a working chimney. Very neato. All right, cool. And now we have a minute to half house. We can fix the geometry. And if you really feeling froggy, you can do Shift A, mesh, create a plane. Whoops, just kidding. I don't want that 3D cursor there. You saw as you can see, I made a boo-boo and I had an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift S and I'm going to bring that cursor right back to world origin where it belongs. And in horizon terms, that's 0, 0, 0. Now I'm going to press Shift A, mesh, create that plane, and I'm going to scale that out. And there we go. There we go. I have a little house with a little landing pad right there, which is nice. Alrighty, cool. I'm glad you asked that. Yes, there are different scenarios I can do that with. For example, I'm gonna take this house and I'm going to tab. And as you can see, that Boolean went away because I didn't apply the Boolean, and that's okay. I'm gonna press A and then / so we can just see this part here so that we can pay attention to what's going on. Alrighty, so let's fix this geometry. For example, I can go ahead and press K for the knife tool. And as you can see, we have an Ngons to fix. And this is quite a simple fix. I could just select this vert and snap it to this corner, press enter, and there I go. I created an edge loop that will be acceptable for horizon because Ngons are not our friends. I'm going to go ahead and press K again for the knife tool. And there we go. Boom. Now we have some decent geometry. We can do the same for the door. So I'm going to go ahead and press K. And there we go. Enter. This is, I mean, it's not ideal for me, but it's fine for now because we are all learning together. All right. So I'm going to delete these faces. We can make a new door, floor, but right now we want to fix this issue where there's only one window on one side. What I can do is I can press 3 and then I flipped it over on the x-axis. And then what I can do with this to fix that, I'm going to turn on the X-ray mode, toggle X-ray up here. It's right next to the viewport shadings. Then what I can do is I can select this side, press X, faces, and it's gone. It was. Hold on a second. I have some stragglers. Yep. Okay. So that wasn't cut. And that's okay. I could fix that. I'm going to press K for the knife tool. And I could just do that. Now, what I can do with this is really simple. Turn off the X-ray mode. So since the 3D cursor and the origin of this item is directly in the center, I can go ahead and use a modifier called mirror. And as you can see, it's not mirroring centered, and that's because I know why. It's not completely centered, and that's okay. We can fix that. Ngons are bad because Horizon definitely doesn't like it. And I could show you an example of what Horizon does. I'm gonna go ahead and set the origin to 3D cursor. All right, so now if I were to add that mirrored modifier, boom, there we go. And I know it's not even, but it's okay. Now you can see there are 2 windows on each side. That would have went better, but I think I moved my item. And that's okay. I'm going to press tab. We could do a few things. If you see that there are vertices that are overlapping each other, you could easily just select them and press M to merge at center. And that will fix. That is like one of the easy fixes. Merge at merge at center. And honestly, I like fixing geometry. I can definitely get lost in doing all this funky jams. A lot of troubleshooting, a lot of mistakes. Hey, the more mistakes you make, trust me, the more experience you gain. Alrighty, take those mistakes and make them happy trees, like Bob Ross said. Okay, so you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to show you exactly what Horizon does with an Ngon. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these edges and I'm going to delete them. Come on, bro. Oh, that's okay. I'll do this. Let's make it funky. Yes. All right, so that's an entire Ngon. And as you can see, the window is nicely cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly take this into Horizon. So I'm going to do File, Export, FBX, bring that to my very messy desktop. I'm going to call this H-Test. Selected objects. All right. So now if I were to open up Horizon Worlds. Alrighty. So here we are. Here is Horizon Worlds. And I'm going to make a new world. I'm going to make a new world and create a custom model import world. And I'm going to call this No to Ngons. Create. An Ngon is a polygon that has more than four vertices, more than 4 sides. For example, what I just created here, as you can see, this panel here has 4 sides. But this panel here, this polygon here, has more than 4. That is an Ngon. That is an incomplete polygon. That's correct. Yes. Alrighty. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create new 3D model. As you can see, I'm having issues with my own PC, which will be fixed tomorrow. Ah, there it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. So yeah, I did not create a material. You can do that with Blender. With Maya, you cannot. Just FYI, in case there's questions. Did I bring that in? What's going on? Come on, bro. There we go. Right. So so the thing is that if you absolutely do not assign an image or a material, you can bring in. However, if you do assign a material, it's going to keep flagging you and asking for that material. So let me know if you have issues with that, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this out. And let's see that window. I'm going to go ahead and go to preview mode. As you can see in that window with the Ngon, what happened here? Tell me what exactly happened. What's different between the two? Do you see it? Sound off in the chat. Do you see the issue? So basically, the reason this happened is this. The window is not square. Exactly. But you just gave Horizon Worlds, the engine, no choice but to assign those extra vertices to whichever pair it could find. So it does. You may not see it sometimes, but it does, because you're telling Horizon, hey, I have these extra vertices, but you can decide where to put them. And it did. It decided where those vertices should pair off with. So that's why you see that basically it took, like, let's say you pretend there's a napkin, and this napkin has supports. So these supports on this napkin are toothpicks, right? And if you were to take the napkin and you were to hold it up with 4 toothpicks, it makes a square. But let's say you take this napkin and you make it uneven. So you're going to take these toothpicks and you're going to put it at the end of the napkin, right? And now if you try to hold it up, what is supported? The side with the toothpicks or the side without the toothpicks? You get what I'm saying? So this is kind of like the same scenario. You're working with what could be kind of like digital fabric, where the vertices are the pins, and the edge loops are kind of like the toothpicks, the wooden dowels, the sticks. And that's how you're structuring your polygons. So let me get out of Horizon, back into Blender. And so here, this geometry is not supported. It needs that extra support for it to be held up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press K for the knife tool, and I'm going to give it the support it needs. There you have it. Now it's fully supported. Now Horizon is not going to be like, hey, I'm not going to do funky stuff because I know exactly where you want that geometry to be. You know, that's not always the case for other engines. Other engines would allow Ngons. However, it's not favorable, and it's not clean geometry. That's all I'm saying. Now, another fix would be for people often say, hey, just triangulate. So if you're having issues, do the triangulation hotkey. However, I don't recommend just doing that. I recommend fixing the geometry so that you know you have clean geometry all throughout. So that's correct. Yes. Just like construction. Just like that. So if your knife won't go away, you press enter. Let me know if you got it. All right, guys. So now we have a house. Okay. I would like to take some time to give you guys some homework to show me next week. Are you guys going to be here next week with me? Because we're going to continue on and we're going to make this, gradually go up. So let me know in the chat. Will you be here next week? And should I assign some homework? Okay, cool. Perfect. So the homework is this. I want you, with everything you learned, and don't make it hard. Don't make it hard on yourself. Same time, same place, Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern. And I don't know the Pacific time, to be honest. I'm terrible with time zones. Alrighty. So definitely create 7 p.m. Central. Cool. Perfect. Yes, exactly. So create anything from a cube and keep it simple, but make it your own. It could be anything. It could be a house. It could be the continuation of a house or an object or anything. So definitely show me what you did with Extrude, with Inset, and even adding some edge loops.